Hi, my name is Diamond Ukebu. I am the director and lead consultant of Render. We are a consulting and creative group that focuses on helping churches build their worship leaders and their gatherings toward the vision of reaching the city with the gospel. Hi, welcome to the Connect and Challenge Assessment module. The purpose of this module is for us to have the same language while looking at the process to get you where you want to be in your church and in your gathering within your vision at a 20,000 foot level. So we just want to make sure that we're using the same language. There's many places and topics that you could begin talking about. There's genres, there's personnel, there's people, there's resources, equipment. There's so many things that you could think about, but none of that matters if you don't know exactly what you're doing, where you are, and where you want to go. Then you can talk about how you can get there. So we're going to kind of pull some language together for us to connect the dots to where you want to be. So this is called a strategic planning process. Leadership, if you're in the room and you're watching this with your worship team leaders and any person that's a part of that area, you already know this process. You've done it in some shape, form, or fashion in both managing and planting your church. So this language will probably be not new to you, but the process I'm sure you have already walked through. And if your leader isn't in the room, you should go get them right now. That should happen. So let's start with the first one, or the four, and then we'll walk through each one together. So it's awareness, vision, strategy, and courage. Those four components are both chronological, but they're fluid. You continue to become more aware of things, and you can move through each. So the first one, awareness. Let's go ahead. Awareness is pretty self-explanatory, but I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Where are you? You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you are. Now, this is not focusing exactly on what you're going to do with what each element is in your area. That's going into a completely different step. This is where are you. You can identify some things within your where. So these are the people I have. I'm at the beginning stage. We're in a gymnasium. You can look at those things where I am. And those are a lot more physical, but then you can also look at where you are spiritually with your leaders, spiritually with yourself, just purely being aware. So you can put a word vomit on paper, so to speak, of where you and your people are. The next one is vision. As simple as this word is, this is where I feel like a lot of the trouble comes. And this is, what is the picture? A common definition for vision is preferred future, or preferred picture. That's another phrase you probably hear a lot. And it's basically saying, I know where I am, hence the awareness, and where you want to go, and creating a picture of that preferred future. That's another phrase you may hear. And for some reason, this continues to be lost when it comes to what you want your gathering time to be, and then that affects everything else, like how you move, what you choose to do. This is one of the most important steps. I won't say it's the most, but it's one of the most important, because you need to know where you're going. It's easy in America to look at churches and say, okay, I need to have thousands of members with so much equipment, with so many singers, with this type of genre, and people writing songs, but that may not be what your context needs. Your city may need a small house church that is focused on fleshing out the gospel through community and mission. That may be all that you need, or you may be given those platforms. My goal is not to argue philosophies when it comes to that. It's to focus on the heart and to challenge you to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where you are. That topic we can go into more in a different module, but again, the vision is a huge thing. If you're in a living room and you have 5 people, take that into account to the vision you make. Just want to really belabor that point. The next one we have is strategy. Pretty simple. How will we get there? The there is your vision, so to speak. So where are we going? We're going to your vision. All right, so for your strategy, you're breaking down, again, what you're aware of, based on your picture, taking your strategy, moving it towards that. If you are strategizing towards a picture that you all are not in agreement on, meaning your worship leaders and all of the volunteer staff and your leadership team, and if you have a different type of breakdown, it could be your elders or any other organizational leaders. If everyone's not on the same page with that vision, it's going to show up in your gatherings. So don't start here if these two aren't in line and in order. I know that sounds like a duh, but I want to belabor it. Last one is courage. Because we're human, this one's a little difficult. 2 words for this one: embrace and walk. You're taking all of what you discovered and what you are pulling together for your awareness, your vision, your strategy, and you're actually embracing it and walking together. If there is a difference of opinion, but you agree to walk away from the conversation and what you're wrestling with, you embrace it. You say, okay, Lord, I know that you have called my leaders to be in this position. I know you've called me to be in this position. What does it look like for me to embrace in authenticity, in honesty, still having the conversations, and then walking those steps out of faith? If you know your vision is to have 3 people on stage and you have you, yourself, and I, then that is going to take some walking in faith for you in a very tangible way. Or embracing, I don't really want to sing with 6 other people, but this is the vision for our church, for our context, for reasons that we talk through and walk through together. Again, all these topics will be broken down into different modules, but I really want you to see the 20,000-foot view of awareness, vision, strategy, and courage. Courage is the biggest one. Again, the name of this is Connect and Challenge. We started connecting the dots, but no one is challenging you in the process to actually execute it. So this is our strategic planning process, and this is how we will flow through the rest of the assessment. Okay, so we just talked through the strategic planning process: awareness, vision, strategy, courage. This is our language at a 20,000-foot level for us to walk through for your gathering, your leadership team, and your worship volunteers and leaders. So with this language, we're going to continue the process and start with awareness. There's a simple way, and it's kind of a simple exercise, and I really hope that your leadership, meaning your pastor, your worship pastor, whatever type of leadership overhead that you have, whatever that system looks like, be sure that everyone is in the room, specifically for these first 2. So the first part of this module and this one. When you walk into a setting, there are 3 main things that you can encounter, both within yourself and around you. It's feel, experience, and believe. If you walk into a musical, you sit down, there's a feeling you have. Hopefully the experience that you have is a positive one, or it could be negative. And then there's a bolstering of a belief. You either believe in the musicals are wonderful, or you are very sure that you hate them for the rest of your life. The same with sporting events or recitals or any other type of event or experience that is more so presented to you. Now, again, we definitely don't want our gathering times to be something that's more of a presentation, but that is family celebrating the gospel and the beauty of it. Yet and still, when you're in these settings, that happens. There's a feeling, there's an experience, and there's a belief bolstered or even established for non-believers that may be attending your gathering. So what we're going to do is you're going to take some time, first individually, so worship leaders and all of your volunteer staff that are present, and then your leadership elders, pastors, all of the overarching leaders. You're going to process through these questions alone and then come together. The 3 words that we just spoke about that you encounter in any gathering setting are feel, experience, and believe, which you see here. Feel, experience, and believe. You're going to take these 3 words and answer this question, filling in the blank with each of the words, and try to make it concise, your answers, to 5 words that come to your mind. Don't worry, I will give you an example. So here's the question. When you think of your gathering and the people who would attend, what do you desire for people to, the first word you put in there is feel. So you'd write that question out, feel, and you'd write 5 words that come to your mind. So feel would be, some words could be welcome, joy, excitement. Those are some words that you can put for the answer to that question. Then the next question would be, when you think of your gathering and the people who would attend, what do you desire for people to experience? the gospel made real. Now again, for you wordy people, you see what I just did? That was a phrase. The goal is to do 5 words. That's not meant to be constraining to you as much as you to have a clear vision of what you're seeing and hoping to have, or hopefully, in some cases, currently have in your gathering. And then the last one, when you think of your gathering and the people who would attend, what do you desire for people to believe? Ultimately, we know that God is the one that does the work in the heart, that gospel transforms people, not what we do. I am definitely standing on that truth as God has made it clear in His Word. Still, there is a prayer and there's a hope that we would love for people to believe. For example, in my home church, one of the things that we definitely want people to continue to remember in their gathering is that we are a family, that the gospel is not just about you and your individual needs and desires to make them central. We know that our God is a loving Father, but He's also just, and He's King, and He has a will that is perfect, and that we submit to it. So our church, in the songs that we choose, and again, all of these details and these different strategies and stances, there'll be other modules on them, but that's an example of what we want them to believe. So how we sing, how we do transitions, the songs we choose, they all come from that. So there's a lot of songs with we. There's a lot of songs with family, celebrating the church, the ecclesia all together. So that could be something. I'm sure all the pastors have these Greek words floating in their minds at this point, and that's great. But bringing that down to something simple that we can be able to transfer to other people, and I'll come back and touch on that point. So again, fill in the blank with each of these words. Try to answer with 5 words under each. So take this time to press pause and go alone spin. Put on a timer for about 10 minutes and just go through each. It may be a little difficult, but take the challenge to do it. And if you can't, that should expose quite a few things. After that, we'll come back and we'll talk some more. Welcome back. All right, at this point, you should have had alone time for about 10 minutes processing through the feel, experience, and believe questions. You should not have shared them with each other, so if you have, you should stop now. Do not do that yet. That is coming. We still have another set of questions, but I wanted you to wrap your brain around the feel, experience, and believe questions. This next portion is really to talk about your church and your context. Again, there's so many elements to leading worship and leading in general for your gathering and for your family. And so we can talk even more in detail about the vision for your church and where your context is, the people groups, and all of that. Those are great topics. But again, none of that matters if the picture isn't clear. So now you have another set of questions. This is going to take you about 10 minutes. This should be done alone. Go and spread out by yourselves and write it out so it's clear for you to be able to explain towards the end. And these are your 3 questions. Or should I say, one is a statement, so 2 questions in a statement. One is, what is the vision for your church? If you have a tagline, if you have a sentence, if you have a paragraph, what is it? Don't look, hey, what is it to the person next to you, or try to sneak a quick peek at the pastor, or nothing. You, in and of yourself, say, what is the vision for my home church? And write that out. The next question is, what is the vision for your gathering? And you've probably heard me say that throughout the module. Gathering is service. It's the same thing. It's just a term that I use very often. What is the vision for your gathering or service? Again, don't try to get any information from anyone else. You pull together what you believe and you see within your church. The last one is I'm listing all the people in your team and music area and pray for them. And just taking a few minutes to do that. You can have 2, you can have 30. It doesn't matter. List all of those people out. You don't have to do roles or what they do, just the people, and pray for them. So again, what is the vision for your church? What is the vision for your gathering / service, whichever term that you use? List all the people in your team or music area and pray for them. Take about 10 minutes to do that. Hopefully the first 2 only take you 5 minutes, and you can spend about 5 to 8 minutes in prayer. Press pause, and then we'll come back. All right, hopefully those 2 exercises were really illuminating for you. Again, you have the feel, experience, and believe questions that are challenging you to think through what exactly you're wanting in your gathering. And then you have more of the vision-oriented questions. What's your vision? for your church in general, and then what's your vision for your gathering, and then all of the people that are really laboring in this specific area of your church. All of this, all of what we've been talking about is a part of awareness. You're becoming aware, one, of what you and your team really know about the vision for your church and your gathering. Are you really on the same page? Is it really clear? Is it transferable? If it's not transferable, then it's probably not clear, and it's probably not happening. And that's where we find a lot of the breakdowns. Again, this is connect and challenge. We're connecting the dots. And some of the dots, probably you're discovering, really aren't connected at all. For some of you, this is exactly what you needed. You needed a few questions to be put on the table to bring clarity and synergy to your vision and how that's fleshed out in your gatherings. There will be some of you that will need further consultation, maybe in a more live setting. And if that's you, there's contact information that will be posted on the screen, and you reach out to speak with a consultant at Render, and we can walk with you more through that process. You could be a new church planner, you could be revitalizing, changing direction, even methodology or staff in this area of your church. Whatever that may look like, just please know that Render is here. There will also be other modules that are more topical in nature that will focus on different elements of your gathering and even preparing for it. It could be as broad as something to talk about culture and context and how that relates to music. It could be something more pointed and tangible, like logistics, methodology, and resources for you and your churches. And this consulting and creative group is more geared towards urban churches. Urban meaning dense and diverse, which our cities are as the time continues to progress. And our churches need to be able to understand that and service that as unto the gospel going forth and being displayed clearly. So look out for more of those modules, and hopefully you will find some very helpful things from my personal experience and our experience here at Render as being planters, as being part of established churches, and even starting something new. I hope that this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing the gospel fleshed out in our cities nationwide.